Hello children, welcome to biology class. Today we are going to discuss menstrual cycle. What is menstrual cycle? It is a reproductive cycle in female primate. Okay, it starts at puberty and is called menarche and ends during 50s and it is known as menopause. Okay. So in human female, menstruation is repeated at an average interval of about 22 to 29 days and cycles of events starts from one menstruation till the next one. It is known as menstrual cycle. Okay, so the phases of menstrual cycle, it involves 4 phases. First one is menstrual phase, then follicular phase, then ovulatory phase, then last one is luteal phase, and it cycles again. Okay, so this diagram is there in our textbook. Here on this part the ovulation days are denoted, and here you can see the uterine cycle, and second part is the level of ovarian hormones. Here we can see the hormones released from the level of hormones released from your anterior pituitary, then here body temperature, then ovarian cycle. So you can see the growing follicle, then ovulation at the 14th day. See, ovulation at the 14th day, then changes in corpus luteum and changes in corpus albicans, then menstruation. Okay, so this diagram is very important, children, because you can't see a question paper without this graph. Okay, because within this diagram you can see 4 different graphs. One is explained about uterine cycle with ovulation, then ovarian hormones changes with ovulation, third one anterior pituitary hormonal change with ovulation, then body temperature and ovarian cycle with ovulation. So this diagram is very important. Okay, you can expect questions to interpret it. So after studying the ovarian cycle thoroughly, you can answer any type of question from this graph. Okay, so let's start with the first phase of menstrual cycle, that is menstrual phase. In a 28 days menstrual cycle, the menses take place on cycle days 3 to 5. So the production of luteinizing hormone from the anterior lobe of pituitary gland is reduced. So it reduced. So what happened? So withdrawal of this hormone. Which hormone? Yes, luteinizing hormone from pituitary causes degeneration of corpus luteum and therefore progesterone is reduced. Okay. So the production of estrogen is also reduced in this phase. So what happens? The endometrium. Children, do you remember what is endometrium? The inner wall layer of uterus. The endometrium of uterus that breaks down and menstruation begins. Okay, so the cells of endometrium secretions, then blood and unfertilized ovum in the state of secondary oocyte, remember, constitute the menstrual flow. So that is the first phase, that is here it is not denoted in our textbook, but here you can see menses. So this we can consider as, here also you can see menses. Okay, so this is menstrual phase. Clear? Then second one is follicular phase. This phase as usually includes cycles days 6 to 13 or 14 in a 28 day cycle. So what happens? The follicle stimulating hormone, in short FSH, it is secreted by the anterior lobe of pituitary gland that stimulate the ovarian follicle to secrete estrogen. See, this is follicular phase, so 6 to 14 days. So what happens? The follicle stimulating hormone secreted by the anterior lobe of pituitary gland stimulate the ovarian follicle to secrete or to produce estrogen. Can you see it? Elevated level of FSH here. Can you see this light, the line in light blue is FSH. In dark blue is LH. So you can see here an elevated level of FSH. So what happens? This estrogen, produced estrogen, stimulate the proliferation of endometrium of uterine wall. So after the menses, the endometrium get degenerated, right? So what happens again? The proliferation of endometrium of the uterine wall takes place. The endometrium becomes thicker by rapid cell multiplication, and this is accompanied by an increase in uterine gland and blood vessels. Why this much rapidly they are producing? Because next month they are expecting for fertilization, isn't it? Always the womb is expecting. They are making the ovary for preparing for pregnancy. Okay. So that is follicular phase. Here next comes the ovulatory phase, the third phase. Ovulatory phase, here both LH and FSH. So here you can denote the ovulatory phase, that is on 14th day. In your textbook you can write on the 14th day as ovulatory phase. Here what happens to the hormones from anterior pituitary? Peak level, isn't it? The peak level of FLH and FSH is there during ovulatory phase, that is about 14th day. In the case of a woman is having 20 to 29 days of cycles every month, the 14th day is the ovulatory phase. Okay. Then estrogen concentration in the blood also increases. So rapid secretion of LH induces rupturing of Graafian follicle. So what happens after the rupturing of Graafian follicle? Release of ovum. At what stage, children? Can we call it as a matured ovum? No, at secondary oocyte stage, isn't it? So in fact, LH causes ovulation. One more question. Okay, so luteinizing hormone causes ovulation. Then the last phase is luteal phase. So this is luteal phase. So what is luteal phase? It includes cycles of 15 to 28 days. So corpus luteum starts to secrete another hormone, progesterone. Endometrium thickens. Uterine glands become secretory. See, this is luteal phase. See, here you can see corpus changes in corpus luteum and follicle stimulating hormone, etc. And after that, if fertilization takes place, pregnancy will happen. Otherwise, what happen? The first phase again, the menstrual phase starts and it causes the menstrual bleeding. Clear? That is menstruation. Okay. Now let's discuss the hormonal control of menstruation. FSH stimulates the ovarian follicle to produce estrogen. LH stimulates corpus luteum to secrete progesterone. Then menstrual phase is caused by the increased production of estrogen. LH causes ovulation. Proliferative phase is caused by increased production of estrogen. Secretory phase is caused by increased production of progesterone. No need to study it by heart. You just study the 4 phases of menstrual cycle. Okay, so automatically you can write the involvement of hormones in it. So children, in this week I will add some diagram based questions, especially graph based questions, so you can understand what level of questions will come from menstrual cycle. So study thoroughly, because we can't see a question paper without this question. Okay children, study well. Thank you.